Well, good morning again, everybody. Welcome to the Team Excellence Call. This is Lynn Gardner calling in from overcast, but Spring, Virginia. What a glorious time of year it is, rain or shine, you know. It's Holy Week and a time for celebration for so many of us. So as you approach the time that marks the death and resurrection of our Savior, I pray that you'll put the Easter bunny, the candy aside for just a few minutes and give some serious thought to who and what we celebrate this time of year. You know, it's funny how we draw conclusions in life. You know, some people think I'm stuck in the middle of the boondocks on a farm because of what I write and the pictures I post, and I never stop talking about the farm. But I'm sure not in the boondocks, although the beauty's breathtaking and I have some privacy. I like it that way. I'm actually just a short ride to Washington, D.C. or Baltimore, Maryland. I'm not far from civilization at all. Our little town has 3 grocery stores, 2 drug stores, a half a dozen gas stations, over 20 restaurants. We have everything we need just a few miles from the beauty. You know, I cut cable a few years ago, and I know that some people think I'm a recluse because of it. They think, oh my gosh, here's that single woman on a farm with no cable, right? From the way people talk, you'd think I cut a limb off. But I made the decision to filter what I watch, and I stopped spending over $1,000 a year just on TV entertainment. That was a good move for me. And the fact that I cut cable doesn't mean that I don't, tune in. I stream most things over the internet. I'm well versed on world affairs and politics, and I watch some things just for fun, and I watch some sports too. You know, when I was growing up, we weren't sports hounds. We didn't have every game of every kind on 24/7, but there were some things that were non-negotiable in our home. We watched Major League Baseball every single game we could. We never missed a Kentucky Derby, and my mom was a fan of golf, so we watched the Masters every year. I'm not really sure why she loved golf the way she did. You know, she didn't play. My father didn't play. I'm not sure she knew of anybody, personally that played, but she sure would be thrilled today to know that my oldest son is now an avid golfer. You know, for many years, she cheered on Jack Nicklaus, otherwise known as the Golden Bear. She loved that guy. What a legend he is. You know, over a span of 25 years, he won 18 major championships. It seemed like he just couldn't lose. You should have seen my mother when she heard that I actually met him in Palm Beach, Florida, years ago when I flew down to do a charity auction for the school his grandchildren were attending. What an honor it was, and what a humble man he is. You know, just behind the Golden Bears, Tiger Woods. He won 15 majors to date. The most recent major victory, of course, was the 2019 Masters. What a sight it was to behold, to watch him win the Masters after so many lost years. All of these things inspired the message for you today entitled, The Eye of the Tiger. You know, most of us are familiar with that phrase, the eye of the tiger, and what it means couldn't be more fitting than it is for Tiger Woods. When you say that about someone, you're talking about someone who is focused, confident, who has the look of being intense, somewhat cold, but very fierce, with a never die attitude. If you follow golf for a while, you know that when Tiger Woods, he was amazing to watch, right? Intense and focused. Unlike the Golden Bear, he wasn't very personable necessarily, not an outgoing guy. Some would label him, quote, cold because of it. Just like the Golden Bear, it seemed like he could never lose. People cheered him on. He was often compared to Jack Nicklaus because he took the sport on, with a fierce storm. Eventually, it was almost as if people grew tired of watching him, though. You know, it's almost like they thought we got tired of him winning, and they began to cheer on the second best or the third best, thinking that it was time for somebody else to have a turn. I remember the jeering. It was almost as if they were wishing him failure on him. And, as if you perfect something, you should step aside and let somebody else have a little fun, right? We hear similar things in business. Sometimes people watch other people soar like an eagle, and it's as if they can't lose. Then there will always be people somewhere that think that business should be spread around for everybody, right? I'm not sure I'd use the word fail when I describe what happened to Tiger Woods, but he fell, and he fell hard. And it didn't take long for people to throw him under the bus. The news on every single corner of America was throwing his dirt around for everybody to see and everybody, frankly, to rejoice in. And if some people could have had their way, they would have removed his championship titles for what was going on in his personal life. But you know what, guys? Everybody falls hard at some point in life. It's not the same for everybody, thank God. They don't all fall in the same direction, but everybody falls. I personally can't imagine falling hard and having the entire world see my fall in living color. That alone would have been enough for keep me in hiding. I would have crawled under the bed probably for the rest of my life, but not Tiger. He didn't hit the press, making excuses for himself. He didn't pretend like it never happened or tell lies about what really happened, but he didn't quit no matter how painful it was. And he lost a whole lot more than a title. We can learn a lot from Tiger Woods and what it looks like to refuse to quit. So I'm going to share just a couple of those things with you. First of all, a lot of people don't know that Tiger Woods was a stutterer. It took years to overcome his challenge. It's interesting that when I had my auction school, several years ago, stutterers enrolled in hopes of conquering their stuttering. Now, that might make you laugh, but from what I understand, stuttering is kind of a rhythm problem. And I believe it is from my experience. Every single stutter enrolled in classes saw remarkable improvement after practicing the rhythm techniques that it takes to be an auctioneer. I got to know these students well. I tutored them to, kind of coached them on the side, and we became friends. And it was sad to hear about the ridicule and the teasing they endured just because of their speech. They had deep wounds, and I'm sure it was no different for Tiger. So his first championship victory came to him as a child when he sweated and toiled to do whatever he could to overcome his stutter. Isn't that like so many of us? Wounds from childhood are either hit, like the eye of the tiger, or they end up defining who we are in the end. Number two, Tiger had an incredible support system in his dad. He was his trainer, his teacher, his coach, his anchor for everything in his life. It was the tenacity of his father that taught the son to persevere under fire, and it was his rough approach that brought upon the great results. Did you know that it said that Tiger Woods' father would actually blindfold him so that he would learn to visualize the direction and the success without ever seeing it? That's a great lesson for us too. We don't see success with our eyes for a while, but if we put on the blindfold and focus with the eye of a tiger, we can visualize it and we will hit the ball to victory too if we stop worrying about what we see right now and focus on where we're going. Number three, Tiger's father, may have been the best thing that ever happened to him, but he was also the crutch in so many ways, and in an odd way, a reason for Tiger's fall. Tiger depended on him for everything. When his dad died, his balance, his crutch, his support, that's what made him fall. He lost it all. The one he depended on the most was gone. And Tiger's focus, his common sense, his balance went right out the window with him. That's true in life for all of us. If we rely on somebody else more than we should, we never learn to walk the journey solo. And when or if they leave our lives or our circle or whatever, we're left scrambling around trying to figure things out all on our own. We never learn, to walk that on our own. So it's important to look at it. It's never good to rely on somebody else for our success or for our balance in life in general, because when life changes, and it always will, in some way or another, we have the tendency to fall and fall hard, just like Tiger did. Tiger was a legend, but one his children never even heard about. They were young when he fell, and they'd never seen their dad at the top of his game. Everybody needs a why, and I think that was Tiger's. I'm just guessing, of course, to show his children who he is, who he was, who he used to be, to show them what is possible if you just don't quit. I meet lots of people who have lost their way, maybe through, I don't know, financial devastation or a divorce or a death. And I often hear that they want to rebuild their life, to show their kids what victory looks like, a chance to show them who they used to be, if you will. That's not necessary to have love and respect from your children, or at least it shouldn't be, but it is a beautiful and a powerful why. Number five, Tiger didn't just fall hard personally, he fell hard physically too. Years of pain and challenges until he finally had his spine fused. Imagine what it felt like for that legend to hit the course and to lose bad in front of God and everybody after he had been on the top of his game. But that didn't stop Tiger. He worked through the pain. He persevered. He never stopped trying. Despite the embarrassment of losing so badly, he never quit. We hear it said that most people quit just before victory. Let Tiger be a good example of that for you. Tiger lost his support system. He lost his way. He lost his reputation. He lost respect and status. He lost his wife and in some ways a family. When you divide a home into two, you don't have the family unit anymore. He lost his fans. He lost his health. He was publicly humiliated, and yet he refused to quit. His victory came because he didn't. What about you? Do you have a setback or two and then have a tendency to throw in a towel? I doubt that anybody on this call has had the kind of setbacks Tiger Woods had, and we quit way before that. But he refused to quit, and victory came. And you know what? It will for you too if you have the eye of the tiger. Be someone who's focused, confident, has the look of being intense, fierce, with a never say die attitude. Don't settle for anything less than being a winner, no matter what's going on in your world. Put that blindfold on and visualize what's ahead and know your game so well that you can't lose. With God, all things are possible. Nothing's impossible for him. He sent his son to die for you and me. And this week we celebrate resurrection. He is risen. He is risen indeed. So I hope that you guys can look at the eye of the tiger. Just kind of ponder that for a minute. All the challenges that he had, and he never refused to quit. He could have quit. I mean, he was at the top of his game. He has more money than he can ever spend in his life. He could have easily said, well, I guess I'm done, and I'm just going to sit back and ride it out. But that's not what life's about. Life's about never stopping. God doesn't put a retirement plan out there, right? We never stop. And if we just don't quit, we will see victory every time. We celebrate victory and the resurrection this week, and I hope that you'll put your blindfold on and celebrate your victory too. Happy Easter, everybody. Go have a great day. I'll see you at the top, and I'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.